Okay, so we went through all the different chords, modes here, and we played a one-octave scale over them. And the whole point, really, in this was to show you, basically, that we're not going outside of the key of C major. We're just starting at different points in the C major scale. Many people get confused by that and think you're, like, changing the notes in the scale, and they get really confused, but, you know, don't let that happen. You're basically only in one key here, but starting at different points. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're really going to define the sound of the modes. What we're going to do is take one bass note, and it's going to be a B here, and I want you to put this on tape and play all the different modes over this B note. So in other words, we're going to play B Ionian, B Dorian, B Phrygian, B Lydian, B mixolydian, B Aeolian, and B Locrian. So we're going to have a bunch of different modes all over the B note, and this is going to help you really hear the different and the tonalities of all the different modes. So the first thing we're going to do is want to build a B Ionian. Now, as we said before, B Ionian, the Ionian mode is always a major scale, so very simply we're going to be in the key of B major. So put a B note or a B major chord on tape and then play the B scale over it and then improvise with it a little bit just to get the feel for what it sounds like. All right, so there's a good example of what the Ionian mode sounds like. It reminds me of a real happy type of feel. Okay, so our next mode is going to be the Dorian mode. So let's build a B Dorian. We know two things. We know that Dorian is minor, so it's going to be a B minor chord. And we also know that Dorian is the second step of a major scale. So the way I look at this is, rather than, you know, remember all the notes in a Dorian scale, you know, the typical way it's taught is like a Dorian is a major scale with a sharp this or a flat that, you know, who really cares? All you need to do is relate it to the basic key you're in. And since we know that Dorian is the second step of a major scale, then obviously the first step is A. So very simply, you know you're in the key of A major, but you're playing over the second chord, B minor, and you're starting with a B note. So put the B minor chord on tape and play the B Dorian scale, which is going to be the A major, starting with a B note. All right, so there's a good example of what a Dorian mode sounds like. I call it the Western mode because for some reason it reminds me of a cowboy movie or a Western movie. I can almost visualize John Wayne riding a horse through the desert. It might not remind you of anything like that, but I think it's real important to get a visualization of each mode or each sound. Because if you can kind of be reminded of a different feeling or a different, even a song or, you know, a Western movie, whatever. If a mode can remind you of something, then it's going to be easier for you to remember the sound of that mode, and I think it can be real helpful in the long run. So try to visualize the sound. You know, put it into some thoughts in your head so you can easily remember it. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is build a B Phrygian, because Phrygian is next in line. We know that Phrygian is typically a minor chord, and it's the third step of a major scale. So if B is the third step, then obviously our first step must be G. So we know we're playing in the key of G major, and its relative minor would be E minor. So we'd be playing in G major, E minor, but starting with a B note over a B chord. It's as simple as that. So put the B minor chord on tape, play the scale over it, and then improvise to get a feel for it. right, so there's what Phrygian sounds like. It's kind of a mysterious, eerie type of feel. And there is an exception on this mode. We said that it was typically a minor chord, but one thing I want to point out, and this is done a lot in classical music, is you can substitute a major chord here. So we'd make B minor, B major, which would mean we would change the D note to D sharp to make B major. So now go through, put the chord on tape again, play the scale, but what you have to do is, since we made D, D sharp, we have to change all the notes in the scale from D to D sharp. Okay, so here's what that sounds like. All right, so there's the other way we can use a Phrygian mode. Again, that reminds me of something really mysterious and like an eerie type of feel, almost a little bit Egyptian. Okay, so our next mode in line is Lydian, so we're going to build a B-Lydian. B-Lydian, Lydian is a major chord, so it's going to be B major. And Lydian is the fourth step from a major scale, so very easily we can find out that the first step is F major, so we know we're in the key of F major, and the relative minor would be E flat minor. So let's play that scale over the B chord, which is going to be Lydian mode. All right, so there's a good idea of what Lydian sounds like.